Hey guys, I hope that everything is working properly. Welcome to those of you joining me live. I wasn't exactly sure if I want to show this game live for the first type of a video. I'm not really sure yet if I will do a full walkthrough. This game is quite long. As you've hopefully seen in the chat already, there is going to be some spoilers from the very early gameplay because I'm actually going to play the game as I'm telling you some details about the game, the gameplay, the music, the background, and everything else. From the screen that you can see here, the game takes place in a very dark and troubled London after the First World War, or as they used to call it, the Great War. Going to begin here. This is very heavy on story game with a lot of cinematics. It's not exactly linear gameplay, it's solo game only, no multiplayer of any sort. And of course there is going to be some gore and blood. If you're feeling like you don't enjoy these types of games, I wouldn't be upset if you leave now. But I hope that you enjoy the next between 1 and 2 hours maybe. Please let me know, those of you who are joining me live, if the sound volumes are misplaced or inaccurate, because I've never streamed that game before. Let's begin it. This is my original save. I've played the game for, I think, about 4 hours. I didn't actually check my Steam stats, but yeah, I managed to get some very good glimpse at it, and I didn't want to get to stay in front of you guys completely clueless of what's happening. I want to throw in some advice, some tips and tricks for beginners, what the game is, what the different menus offer, the gearing system, the crafting system, and other things like that. So I'm going to start actually a brand new game here. But first, of course, if you're watching the recorded version of the video, there will be a timetable, because if you want to jump to the gameplay, you have to skip a few minutes. First, let's do a very quick overview of the menu options. I do have a guide already published on Vulkk.com of how to unlock the frame rates of the game, because by default, the game is actually locked to 60 FPS on PC, that is, of course. If you can reach 60 FPS and above that, you should unlock it. It's actually quite quick and painless, and it works, I believe, pretty much everywhere and all the time. There are two methods. I suggest you to use the second one. If you don't care about higher FPS than a 60, then you're perfectly fine. Only resolution and VSync. I do have VSync on because I play on a G-Sync enabled monitor, and that actually helps. Full screen is totally optional for you. I personally prefer to play on non-full screen or full screen borderless for those games that offer this functionality, because especially when I stream, I need all of the menus on all of my screens here on the sides. Advanced settings, everything has been by default set to maximum and ultra, except for the resolution scale. Nothing here was selected for whatever reason. I just decided to go for 100% just to make sure that no auto scaling function is actually available in the background, so I made it 100%. You can definitely tweak the brightness, but in my personal experience, most of the games actually come very nicely tweaked, or maybe I'm just using a good monitor, I don't know. The audio section, everything is cranked up to the maximum. The music is absolutely amazing. I'm not a huge fan of that kind of dramatic gothic or maybe goth style of music, but it's really appropriate for a vampire game, especially for that kind of vampire game. The next menu is the gameplay menu, and you can tweak anything and everything here as well. You can go and check the controls. I don't know for what reason they display the gamepad controller here. I personally am currently using my mouse and keyboard. You can actually play the game on PC with a controller if you want, but I don't find it comfortable for myself. You can, of course, set the keybinds here if you want to. There are quite a lot of them. The game actually walks you through some of the basics. They will never show you the move forward, backward, and the other two as well, because they consider, the developers, I mean, consider that this game is not your very first game ever. And next we get the languages and subtitles. I hope that the small subtitles would be big enough for you guys to be able to see, because they're quite big actually. It says small, but they're quite big. And credits, of course. I'm not going to show the credits because I haven't finished the game and I'm not entirely certain how much prize or curse the developers deserve. This is a game I've personally been waiting for about an year since I saw the review I don't know if it was actually a reveal or just an update on the game's development last year on E3, I want to say, not really sure. I love the Vampyr universes in general. I haven't played many Vampyr games, but this one so far I really enjoy. There is quite a lot of story, a lot of dialogues. It's really important to speak to as many people as you can while you walk around London, and you learn various things about different characters. Let's begin new game. In this game, difficulty is tied to your actions. If you fail too many times, the game will be gracious to you.
For the Red Queen under crown of stone. 8 voracious beasts born from 8 restless nights. 4 nails piercing the flesh of the sinner. 1 prayer for the summoned, called by this song. 'Tis perhaps the countdown to oblivion for the once proud city of London. 'Tis perchance her inhabitants' last dance alone to face death and pestilence. Confronted by the eerie and unknown, mortals became desperate for answers. A flock's flight makes for an omen, the falling of a star a dire presage. Turning to priests for interpretation when there was no reason to be found. When religion failed, men turned to science. I saw them build such vain cities, crafting machines made for endless war. New questions flourished as old answers withered. What is darkness but lurking sun? What is wall but enslaved stone? What is glass but tortured sand? What is song but a call to arms? What is hate but jilted love? What is life but death pending?
Death. Since the apple was plucked from the sacred tree, mortality was believed to be God's punishment, a righteous snare to keep mankind from ascending to the stars. They were all so wrong. Death is not a wicked thing, nor some holy retribution. A true punishment would be to never know its sweet kiss. Awaken from the harshness and be born once more.
I will obviously do my best not to spoil things, but I would also do my best to explain some things to you guys. Yes, this is the very beginning of the game. You wake up as this person who later we learn to be Jonathan Reed. There is no tutorial of how to move that I mentioned like a few minutes ago, but yes, everybody knows that you by default move with WASD.
Thirsty. So thirsty.
That's the pause menu. Good news is that you can actually pause the game at any given time without skipping anything. You can skip dialogues, of course, if you want to. Let's see, who's this?
sweet brother. What have you done?
Mary! Oh, no. Mary! Hold on. Please, hold on. Oh, God. Mary. Mary. No. No. This horror. It's a nightmare. No! Please, a moment, let me explain!
And it's time to run!
No!
This, by the way,
don't
is
shoot.
linear corridor here.
This is a nightmare.
Thankfully, the game
I
is
need
not
to get
exactly
out of
linear.
here.
It's built on the engine of the Unreal engine, sorry. But it looks just a tiny bit outdated.
Please,
Whoops.
stop! I mean you no harm. What's going on? Oh, Mary. What have I done? What's all this about? Shit, where'd it come? Now, I can defend myself. Kill the thing! Who are you? Stay back! Sorry, but you left me no choice.
Yeah, I'm sorry too. The gameplay is just a little bit too arcade for my taste. It's fun and it's complex enough for the purposes of the game. It's far from the central
Who are you?
appearance of the central appeal of the game, because the gameplay portion, the combat portion is just about, I would say, maybe 20 to 25%, maybe even less, of the whole gameplay experience. I feel like the sound has gone a little bit too loud again, maybe just ought to lower it. Couldn't really compare this game to anything else, except for maybe the one I played a few months ago, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. It's not like it, but I don't play too many games,
Please,
so I
stop.
can't really compare this to anything else.
Who are you? He's dead! What do you want?
There is an exploration factor available, but it comes available a little bit later. For now, it's just a linear tutorial.
I mean you no harm. I need help. Die, you fucking leech! Please, listen to me. I can't make any sense of this. Shut up, beast! Who are you? What is this all about? What in God's sake? I'll do the rest of the job. Just leave me. The sun. It feels like it's burning me to the bone.
In the top left corner of the screen is the health bar, the green one obviously. The second one, the orangish one, is stamina, which is depleted as you perform combat abilities or run, if you want to. There will be a third one, but it's not available at the moment. And of course the number one is my character's
I
level
need
at the
to
moment.
find somewhere to hide. Let me go!
Oh,
I need to find shelter.
if they're marked as red circle,
cannot
they're
enter.
locked and you cannot progress at the moment. Some of them may be unlocked later on in different areas.
Is anybody there? What is this place? The place seems abandoned. I should be safe enough here.
And this is actually a hideout.
Brother, what have you done?
Mary! Mary! Mary, I'm sorry. Whoever did this to us, I will find them.
Wait, this one's dressed up fancy. Let's run through his pockets.
Picking the dead's pockets? Are you serious?
I've still a rent to pay. He's got no more responsibilities. What's this? Gold watch.
Beautiful it is. We fancy it and share the takings. I suppose we are undertakers. Now, give him an Eve.
That's impossible.
So I have found a watch, let's see, on the second floor. It's always nice to check out these random drawers, some ingredients and other interesting items. There's written right here.
12 dreams for the Red Queen that sleeps under crown of stone, that she might linger longer, her eyes as white as milk.
Who goes there?
A prayer for the summoned by warrior song. A child born from darkness must take scent of his power.
Who's there? Are you referring to me? No! No! I still have so much to accomplish. I still have so much left that needs doing.
Johnny, this one's lost. We need to leave. And now!
No! There's time. I can save him.
That's the enemy coming! The orders are to evacuate the hospital!
Done. He'll live.
And now what?
We fight. Killing is a hell of a lot easier than healing.
He's right about that.
No, it never got easy.
And this is the very first weapon that you pick up. Weapons can be upgraded based on your level and based, of course, on the crafting materials or ingredients that are listed here. For example, if I want to upgrade the common revolver to get a little bit more damage, listed on the left side next to the cross mark, For example, the default is 45. If I upgrade to level 2, it will become 56. There is a fire rate, how often you can shoot with the weapon, and there is a reload time when you need to actually reload the magazine. And of course, the common revolver comes with a stun feature. You can stun the enemies that you're shooting at, and that actually opens up other opportunities. Many of the abilities and skills that you will be learning throughout the game as you level up and progress will be available for combinations, as in you can use that skill followed up by the next skill, and then follow up by the third skill for a very nice and useful combo based on the type of enemy. But of course, we'll probably have some time to talk about these things later on. Since I'm already at this screen, let me tell you what it is. So, the first one is the collectibles. As you explore London streets and the buildings, of course, you have a chance to find some different images, portraits, mails, messages, and all things like that. They're actually not mandatory for the main story progression, but they give you a nice insight of where you actually are, what's happening to you, to the city, to the citizens, and other things like that. Next, we go to the inventory, which is split, as you can see here on the second row. We've got the weapons, ingredients, crafting ingredients, that is consumables for later on, of course. Junk, which you can either deconstruct and get ingredients for it, or sell to a vendor. There are quite a few vendors available later on that you will be able to speak to them. Based on your behavior in the different districts of London, actually different vendors will behave different towards your actions. And of course, most of your actions in this game actually do have consequences. And by consequences, I don't mean exactly story-related consequences, but just with the example with the vendors, you are lower screen. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Just like with the vendors, if you are nasty to the people, the vendors will actually hear about that at some point, and they will start ramping up the prices, for example, or other things like that. The next one is the character screen, where on the left side you can see the weapons that you have equipped. You have a chance to switch between one set of main hand and offhand and the second set of main hand and offhand. It happens by default, at least, with Z and C on the keyboard. And serums are some things that you will be able to get and craft later on in the game. For now, we only have one melee weapon and the one pistol, which doesn't actually have bullets. Bullets are quite scarce here in the game, and you have to actually be very careful and not waste them out. Here in the bottom later on, you will see some passive abilities as you start learning them, of course. This is the map. You start right here at the very south Vulkk, and this is, yes, you've guessed it, the River Thames. You can actually zoom in and in. Of course, unfortunately, it only has these two settings, zoomed in and zoomed out. You can't zoom in slowly. And to move around the map, you actually have to move the mouse. You can't really pan or do something else. You are allowed to place up to 2 custom markers, and if you want to remove them, mark them with the mouse, as in stay on top of them with the mouse and press F. If you want to, you can center on your character, because later on this map will start filling itself with different objectives and icons, as you can see from the map legend. All of the NPCs and important locations that you discover throughout your journey will be marked here on the map for your convenience. Now let's move to the next one. There is no quest available yet because, as I told you, this is the very beginning of the game, but here you will be able to find the main quests. There are some side quests available which are in the last screen, but first let's go through the citizen menu. All of the characters that you encounter throughout your journey, you're not required to speak to all of them, but the more of them you encounter, the better picture you'll get for the district and for the whole environment of the game. These are different areas that you're about to start exploring later on. That's because it's the early tutorial still. They're marked as question marks. These big pictures in the middle are usually the most important person in the area. And of course, in the left side, you've got the health status. If you are dishonest to the people here, if you don't treat them well, small spoiler, if you start killing them and drinking their blood, the health status will decrease. If it goes below critical, things will get mad, the district will become crazy, and people will begin behaving erratically. The last screen is where you can see the local investigations. These are some sort of side missions that you're not obligated to complete, but most of them, or at least those that I have encountered so far, are very easy to complete as you move from point A to point B for your main mission. It's just like a small sidestep to one direction, or maybe enter the other building, kill something, find something, things like that. And of course, after that, you will have to, in some cases, go back to an NPC that asked you to do something for them. In some cases, one side mission may be related to two different NPCs, and you have to decide what to do and how. And that's it. A quick overview, of course. In the top left corner is the currency. You don't start rich, as you can see from this screen right here. Now I'm in the hideout. The last thing I have to show you, I probably forgot to mention the XP bar in the top right corner. As you do missions, as you kill enemies and progress with dialogues in the city, you gain experience, and through that experience, you are able to gain new abilities. I'm going to show you that in a very moment.
None of it. No sense at all. It's a nightmare. That's it. So be it. Rational thinking only.
Look at that. They make me shoot myself. That's a little bit too much. It's not that easy to kill a vampire.
This is absolute madness. I've lost touch with the real. Madness it is. As mad as the moon. Contains blinding sunlight into a glowing reflection.
And there we go. We arrived at the upgrade menu. This happens every time you go to the hideout and rest in the bed. Also, another thing that game will tell you a little bit later on, perhaps, is that you're only supposed to play during the night. So when the night ends, you're supposed to find the hideout and rest until the next evening. Sometimes the game tells you after a rest that it's the next evening, but things don't make sense in the dialogues when you speak to the NPCs, because at some point, that's probably something you might encounter in a few minutes. If I reach that point, Jonathan tells some NPC that this has been the longest night in his life, and actually this is the second night as you start the game, because you do a rest here and you actually wake up on the next evening. So hideout beds allow you to evolve and rest, spend experience points to level up and improve your vampiric skills, whatever. I still don't even know how is supposed to be pronounced, the name of the game. Is it vampire or vampyr? I would love to call it vampyr because that's the word's pronunciation in my language, Bulgarian. Let's continue. Since this is still the very early tutorial, they actually only tutorial or tell you to go and purchase the one skill that I have unlocked for you. Left click for details, and as you can see, all of the skills have some kind of mini tree, later on branching. Not all of the skills will be branching. In the left side, these text paragraphs are actually quite interesting if you are into vampire lore, and I would highly suggest you to read them. Each one of these skills costs experience points to unlock. At the moment, I've collected 1685 XP points, and I have to spend 600 of those points to learn the ability. Holding the left mouse button actually learns the ability. And this is the most basic and probably one of the most useful abilities I have used in my first few hours of gameplay. Going back with the right mouse, you have enough XP to unlock an aggressive skill. Go to the aggressive, and because I've already played through the game a little bit, I have to say I really love the Shadow Mist, but I'll leave that for a little bit later on. You can see that these things do different kinds of damage. And yes, some enemies will be highly resistant to specific types of damage. There is ranged and melee damage, there is blood damage, and there is shadow damage. And these aggressive skills represent exactly that. This is melee. Melee damage, as you can see from the icon. This is blood damage, and this is shadow damage. I would definitely take the claws because it's a fun animation. And you can also mouse over the other things. You will see that I need to be level 8 for this one to be unlocked. I need to be level 12 for this one to be unlocked. And just for fun, to level 26 to unlock the 5th tier. Obviously, as you start branching, you will not be able to use these two at the same time. So you have to make a choice. And with the two skills I've unlocked, I can confirm if I press the right mouse button, it will give me a chance to get my experience back and spend it elsewhere, but I do want to confirm.
That voice in my head. If I'm not mad, then it must belong to the one who made me what I am. I must find him to understand what I have become.
Very quick check. We've already received the very first mission because we've actually exited the default tutorial and we are now in chapter 1. Code quarantine. If you click here, this is actually also interesting text from first person. So this is what Jonathan thinks about the information he has collected so far. And also, if you like to spend a little bit extra time, I do suggest you guys, when you play the game for yourself, read these texts because they give you a little bit of an insight how your main character feels.
Where is it? Close.
These people want me dead. I need to leave now.
Here's the leech. Here!
The leech. They don't call me a vampire, they call me a leech. And that's basically how you jump around.
My head's spinning.
It's a little bit early, but what I'm showing you is the senses screen. You can see some special things if you go into senses screen or the vampire mode, as I would like to call it. Used stake. We've got an offhand weapon. And a key, of course. If you go back to the character screen, you can see that the offhand weapon has been selected. And this one specifically has slow attack speed, rather slow, 10.0, but it does have a stun functionality, which is quite useful against the types of vampires that we might be encountering any moment now.
I'm still in Southwark. I must reach the west.
Oh, look at that. Okay, that's not the vampire. I apologize. So, yes, we do have to press left mouse button to attack with the knife and press right mouse button to attack with the wooden stick at the moment. And that would be the best one to do. When that happens and a special vampire mouth appears, you are allowed to bite. Bite will replenish the third bar in the top left of the screen, which is the blood bar. Spending blood is what you want to do by using the special abilities. The bite that I've learned while resting is the first basic ability. Sorry, not the bite, the claws. is the first basic ability that I've learned, and I'm going to demonstrate it. That's the self-heal. Let me drink a little bit more blood to replenish it a little bit more. And in the bottom right corner, you can see that both of the special abilities are active. I can use the claws.
A strength I never knew I had.
Leech spotted! Watch out!
Ooh.
Every sinew, every fiber of my being is on fire. I feel like a child learning the limits of my body.
Once again, now that the heat of combat is here behind us. Oh, holy crap, one more. Really? Oh, that's something nasty then. Replenish a little bit of the blood that I've lost. Okay.
My strength, my reflexes. I'm not human anymore.
The combat is finished. Yes, the combat is a little bit too arcade, but it can be complex, especially if you face different kinds of enemies with different high levels of resistances. Because one guy that you're fighting will be resistant against your wrench damage, the other one will be resistant against, let's say, your blood damage, and then it gets complex because you have to actually jiggle and switch between different combat styles and different active and passive active abilities quite often. Okay, there was something clickable here, I think. Okay, maybe not here. Ah, it's right here. Join the ranks! No, thank you. This is actually a funnier looking picture.
My poor sister. If only I had controlled my need for blood. Mary, someone will pay for what happened to you. For what happened to us.
If you have a small, an easygoing heart, don't watch this.
I can't believe I'm doing this.
He says that quite a lot. 10 shillings, thank you.
The dizziness from the jump. I can now control it.
It's more like a teleport if you ask me, not a jump, but oh well.
I have this thirst for blood.
What will London have to say to me? I've so many questions unanswered.
And we are back outside.
Another corpse. Have the very streets of London become a mausoleum?
Yeah, it's not exactly a jump ability, and you're not allowed to do it everywhere and all the time. It's only when the game prompts you to. Or allows you to.
The man has been drained of all blood, but I can still smell the scent of it. I follow the scent's trail. Perhaps it will lead me to my assailant.
Yep, there we go. press V,
Blood.
and we can see the trail more clearly. You can see it, unlike with the Witcher sense, if you've played the Witcher, of course. Here you can see the blood, even in the normal game, normal
Where has
environment.
everyone gone?
And that would be the second hideout that we discover. There are quite a few hideouts, but the game gives you a wrong impression that they're everywhere. They're not exactly everywhere. They're placed in strategic locations. I have earned another extra 450 XP, and let me actually show you something that, again, the game will tell us about a little bit later, perhaps. Craft. I do not have any ingredients at the moment, but let me show you the crafting screen. On a workbench, you can craft medical treatments because you do want to cure some of the citizens to increase the morale of the district that they live in. Of course, you can craft serums to boost yourself, heal yourself, for example. And of course, this is where you can upgrade your weaponry. The next screen is the weapons available. Currently, as I've shown you already, I only have one melee, one offhand, and this is the offhand firearm, which I don't tend to use too often. Plus, it's mostly only good against human. And this is recyclable. I can receive a little bit of crafting materials if I want to recycle this right now. It's done by holding the left mouse button. You can also sell it to a vendor later on when you start meeting the vendors, or the traders I should call them. Let's take a night off again. And what can you upgrade? All of the skills that you are allowed to upgrade obviously are light up. The others are locked. Because I wanted to show you the passive behavior of the skills and how they appear in the inventory screen, let me, for example, take this one. So that's a passive. You don't need to do anything during combat. You just get it all the time. And now we've got the first passive unlocked, and the icon tells me that it's only level 1. But it's good enough for the moment. You can also access the tree from here if you want to by just pressing, as the game tells you, E shortcut. And these are the two abilities that I have unlocked earlier. This is the autophagy, whatever, and the claws. Now, even though I unlocked the claws and their melee damage just like with my main weapons, it's probably a good idea to spread your abilities in the very early game already. You want to have different kinds of abilities for different kinds of enemies, because you start encountering different enemies very, very soon. And by different, I mean not things with 16 legs, for example, just different enemies with different resistances. And of course, if you want to, you can try and refuel the weapon. Where was it? There we go, 18 bullets, that's good enough. You get to do that for free at the hideout. Excuse me. Let's follow the hideout to our first conversation with other things.
At
Life
last,
things.
a little life.
If you go into census mode, you can actually see description of the citizens around you. This is going to become really important later on. The question mark marked in the bottom right corner of this panel is something that we'll hopefully and probably talk about later on. This is the mesmerized, I believe is pronounced, level.
Welcome, sir, to the Turquoise Turtle. Good evening, sir. I wondered if I could ask for your help.
Wow, you look like you need a drink.
Yes. I apologize for my outfit. It's been a long night.
Been there, seen that. Don't worry, things can only get worse.
These are the options. Most of the time it's exploration during the dialogues. You rarely get to choose one thing or another, or as a matter of fact, I don't remember how many times, if ever, I have encountered a choice. but there should be choices here in the game available, and your choices should matter. However, for the most case, it's an exploration. What does the character know about the environment, and some personal questions about this specific character. Or of course, you can skip. If you press the left mouse button, you can skip through the dialogue cutscenes, and if you hold the space, you can also skip the cutscene.
Has anybody entered the bar recently?
Can't say. Sorry. I
Also,
spent the night making love to that gorgeous bottle, see?
This is important, sir. Are you sure no one has come in here in the last few hours?
I don't know and I don't care. This is a free country. People still have the right to come and go, don't they?
What's going on around here?
if you're done with the conversation,
It's
it
like
goes
everybody
great.
is hiding.
You must be new here. Have you not heard about the murders? Everybody fears the return of the sewer dog.
And there are two more follow-up questions. You are allowed, again, in most cases, to ask both of the questions.
Who is this sewer dog?
It's the local bogeyman. Convenient answer for every crime that happened for decades. You murdered someone, blame the sewer dog, eh?
You make it sound like it's a fairy tale.
People will always believe in monsters. It's easier than accepting their own darkness. We can all be monsters.
That's it for now.
I'll leave you to your bottle then.
I'm not going to explore all of the dialogue options with all of the NPCs that I'm about to encounter in the next minutes, but I just wanted to show you some examples.
My God, sir, you look like Jonah's whale just spat you out of hell. Can I get you a drink?
No, thank you. I'm not thirsty.
Well, grab a chair and get some rest. This is going to be another long night.
The yellow one with the exclamation mark is the progression of the main stories, of course, but you can explore some other things.
Why is it going to be a long night?
You must be new around here. Don't you know about the murders?
Tell me more about these murders.
Every morning for the last few weeks, bodies have been found. And those poor sods didn't die of flu.
Do the police have any leads on a suspect?
Even before the outbreak, coppers never came round here. We're on our own. People die in these parts all the time, and no one cares.
Where am I? Where is this place?
You're at my bar, sir, the Turquoise Turtle. The last ray of light in this dangerous part of town.
Aren't you scared?
Scared of what? All the bad shit happens out on the foggy streets. And I never go outside.
So you're open all night?
Yep. Figured people might need a place to rest in these dark times.
I'm looking for someone who might have passed through here recently. Wondered if you might help.
It's been quiet tonight. The only other person I've seen went straight up to his room. Thought it was kind of rude, actually.
You mean he's still here?
Well, yeah. He paid for the entire week.
How long has he been here?
He rented the room a few days ago and didn't say when he'd leave.
Who is this man? What does he look like?
Well, like a gentleman, I guess. Well-dressed, quite polite. A professor or something fancy like that. Always writing, reading notes.
I need to meet this man. I have questions.
Just climb the stairs and knock on the first door. I heard him open his window, so I guess he's still awake. And,
Yes?
no funny business. You hear me? This is a respectable establishment.
We're about to go upstairs, but let's first actually talk to the only other available NPC here.
Hello, sir. Are you all right? Is there any way I can help you?
I don't know. Maybe you could just talk to me.
Maybe you prefer to speak with Tom, then. He's more agreeable talking to strangers.
The barkeep, you forgot.
What's going on around here? Where is everyone?
Too many dead, sir. First the epidemic, and now all these terrible murders.
The murders. What can you say about them?
Bodies found in the streets every morning. Drained of blood. It's just horrible. Some say the sewer dog is back.
The sewer dog? What's that?
No one knows. People have always
boogeyman.
disappeared around these parts. The ancients say it's the sewer dog coming out to feed. But now he's killing in the streets.
What have you heard about the epidemic?
There's a Spanish flu. Yeah, killed so many last summer. Thought we'd seen the last of it. Dozens dying every week.
Are the authorities doing anything?
Nothing. There are so many quarantine zones in London now. It's gotten really hard to travel across town.
What is this place?
This is Tom's bar, a turquoise turtle. I'm the barmaid here, Sabrina, if you want to know.
Are you always open this late at night?
No, it's only since the epidemic started. Tom thought that people may need a safe place to stay.
Now, there is something that has been annoying me from my experience with the game so far. The dialogue voiceover is really good, at least in my opinion. But where the game is seriously lacking is probably not so much in the lip syncing. I believe that's good enough for the amount of dialogue that is featured here. But the cinematic cutscenes, look at her. As if she's drunk, and she keeps doing that all the time. The camera doesn't move. The camera position is in some cases actually weird and buggy, I can say. But we'll see that in probably the next scene or the scene after that, when I go back to talk with the barkeep again, and with the fatigued guy, the drunk guy in front of the barkeep.
You don't seem to have much business.
Well,
Where
it's
is
just
everybody?
visual
Most
annoyance.
people are sleeping right now. And those that are awake tend to avoid going out. What with the murders and all.
It's probably another case of saving money on development, since my character talks a lot, and of course everything is voiced over, but we're seeing from his back, so he doesn't have to actually lip sync.
I just want to talk. I didn't mean to scare you.
I'm not afraid, sir. It's just I've other customers to take care of.
I only see one customer.
Oh. Well, yeah, of course. I mean...
Here is what happens when you skip. It just skips to the next screen and it stops
I'll
the
leave
dialogue.
Then. Thank you.
Now I have nothing else to do except maybe, okay, I can show you the inspect screen and the census screen, and you can see that Dyson Delaney, the drunk guy in front of the bar, is actually suffering from illness, sickness, whatever it's called, fatigue. This is something you will learn to cure later on, and of course you will need some crafting materials or ingredients to be able to prepare formula to be able to treat fatigued people. And you will see the red bar, the XP bar, actually increase if the person is more healthy. Later on you may decide to feed on that person if the mesmerize level here is actually equal to your level or lower than your level. That's something we'll probably talk about at a later point. Each one of these characters has a few random number of hints locked. Through conversations between different characters, you are actually able to learn some secrets about themselves or about other characters that they are related to, and learning these secrets will increase the blood quality of the character for whoever you learned the secret, which will either improve the health status of the district that they are in, or, of course, in other case, it will give you a chance to feed on them for more XP. The biggest chunk of XP that you can earn is by just drinking blood from citizens. Let's go up to the second floor and meet one of the main characters, at least for now.
This is no place for you. Prewen has several patrols roaming the area.
They do not pursue me.
But they're looking for vampires, and they're most efficient.
They'll not relent until the killer has been identified.
I have a common objective, but I require...
I think someone is eavesdropping.
Are you certain? You might as well come in, whoever you are.
Slowly, vampire. Who are you? I mean you no harm, saith the vampire. Present yourself.
I need a word. With anyone.
so that's something I can do for you. And who might you be?
In this case, I can advise you it's probably good to be friendly to this guy.
I'm not sure that I know any.
Small spoilerish advice.
Might I at least learn the reason of your presence?
That's none of your concern.
Sir, you have entered my room in the middle of the night, pale as a corpse and shaking like a tree. So please, indulge me.
Someone is molesting people. In fact, killing them. Biting them.
The calling card of a vampire. Like you.
I've been hunted down in the streets and attacked. I'm a victim here too.
I believe you.
Then if you are not a vampire, who or what are you?
Dr. Edgar Swansea of the Brotherhood of St. Paul. I'm performing an independent investigation here in an attempt to understand precisely what is going on.
What have you uncovered concerning the murders?
It started a few nights ago. Rumors of violent murders. The docks have always been, shall we say, somewhat unsavory. But this is different.
How different?
A vampire is at work here. Famished. Reckless. It must be brought to ground, and quickly.
I heard another voice, that of a woman. Who were you talking to?
Ridiculous. I've no idea what you're talking about.
Something tells me not to trust you.
Then the feeling is mutual.
And what exactly is this Brotherhood?
Sir, if the name is not familiar to you, then we shall discuss it another time.
Then help me find the culprit.
I may. If you'll first tell me why you opened this door.
I followed a trail. The scent of blood from a recent victim. It led me here.
You thought I was your aggressor? That explains a great deal. We're both chasing the same shadow.
Perhaps. This is all new to me. I'm not even certain what I'm looking for.
You should let me handle this affair. You've no idea what you're up against.
No. I will find the monster. He is mine.
How will you do any better than I? But then let me ask you this. What are your intentions if you find the killer?
I will at last have the answers to my questions.
Then I can only wish you good hunting. And pray we shall meet again.
I was hoping for a different outcome here because I chose another option the first time I played through this dialogue. Unfortunately, I stumbled upon the same exit point. Anyway, this, as we're about to learn, is quite an important character, at least for now. I don't know what his future is going to be. He is quite a high level of mesmerized if you want to feed on him or drink his blood. The next update for the Eternal Trust quest is provoking us to track the killer and interrogate the locals. If we go back to the bar, we will have a couple of new cutscenes.
If Swansea is not my attacker, it means somebody else came here tonight.
There's gotta
Someone
be
must
something
know
you've done to
something.
get out of this bullshit mess.
We are supposed to talk to these three locals again to see what kind of new clues and information we'll be able to extract from them. Probably mostly interesting would be to speak to the barkeep because he's the one that lied to us about nobody coming through. And I'm actually going to end the live stream here for today, guys. Let me know if you have enjoyed it because I would be up for another live stream of this tomorrow. And maybe if the interest is high enough, I will turn it into a full walkthrough, but for now we'll see. Thank you for joining me today. Don't forget to throw in the like button if you have enjoyed this. If you think that this is the game that you might enjoy, I highly suggest you to purchase it, and I purchased mine from Kinguin. I am partnered with Kinguin, and of course there is a referral link below if you want to purchase it through there. Mine costed about $43. Of course, if you purchase it at a later point, it will be probably more discounted at an even lower price. See you next time, guys. I'm off to Anthem to see what EA has to tell and show about the new game.